manna, Mike. I'm not sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts, really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grinded. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, oh, similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.
What it do is Wednesday, we're up here on the Marc show, powered and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel. Every player compete live from the Fishbowl Radio Network. It's Wednesday. We're here to educate and elevate you. Got a special guest, 2 special guests in the building. Got one of the best players, in my opinion. You guys are going to know about this guy in a few years, but you know, as in my line of work, the early identification is what helps these guys get noticed early. Got my guy JD Duffey in the building, and my guy Coach JD Duffey. Listen, Texas Ice, Eastern Hills High School. We go way back. Coach Duffey was one of the guys that was instrumental in getting me in the game in the scouting realm of things. So, you know what I'm saying? It's only fitting that I have my guy in the building today. We're going to talk about a few things today, of course. My guy, Coach Jay, is on the road in the building today over the phone. Coach Jay, what it do?
Wednesday, guys. Love it.
Absolutely, man. First of all, JD, Coach, appreciate y'all coming through.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Coach, we'll start with you. What I like to do with coaches is kind of get your background,
Okay.
for the listeners, just to kind of let you know how you got in the game, where you started, and where you're at now.
Okay, so of course, played the game coming up, went all the way through high school, played a little college ball. After playing college ball, decided that I wanted to stay in the game. I wanted to be around it. Loving the game of football, it never leaves you. So, coaching was next for me. Started coaching and decided, the best way for me to impact the youth would be to form my own organization so I can help as many lives as possible. And, now we're here today with Texas Ice.
Absolutely, man. And listen, you were there at the beginning when, 7-on-7 kind of just broke off, especially in the state of Texas and definitely in the DFW area. You were around. You were at the beginning of this.
Yes.
It's taken off, and it's all over the country now.
Yeah.
You go all over the country. You take your kids, your families all over the country with it. Speak on the beginning stages and what you thought about it and how it's progressed to now.
Wow, man. So the game of 7-on-7 that people see today is a whole new beast,
Right.
a whole nother animal, man.
Right.
It's so cool to see that, the 2-3 teams that was around in the DFW when I first started,
Right.
man, there's 15 programs,
Right.
and that's just in the DFW.
Right.
The access for athletes to find a place to develop their craft in the off season, man, it doesn't compare to when I first started. When I first started, I had pick of the litter, all the kids around the state, around the DFW, surrounding states. But now, everybody's got a team, everybody's got somewhere to play, and it's beautiful, man, to see the progression of the game. I couldn't have dreamed of this.
Absolutely. I mean, it's taken off to where it's become almost a necessity just to get the right exposure.
Right.
And just to be able to get quality reps and work in the offseason for skill positions.
For sure.
We talked about this a little bit off camera, to where quarterbacks and the quarterback play, and you can look at the state of Texas as one of those hotbeds for quarterbacks that progress on to college and professional ranks of professional football. It's outstanding. You hear people, analysts, scouts talk about how 7-on-7 has revolutionized the skill position and being prepared to play at the next level.
Right.
Just speak on that just a little bit.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's with anything, reps. The more you do something, the better you'll be. Back in the day, it was okay to go practice with your team for an hour and a half, 3 times a week, go play on Saturday, Friday, whatever the day the game is, and, you could make it. You could survive. But once 7-on-7 came into play and, kids could get hundreds and hundreds of reps in a week without having to take any type of physical contact on their body, you know, the minds, the skill, it just went out the roof, man. You know, the more you do something, the better you're going to get. Simple as that.
Absolutely. Now, you've taken it a step further, you know, in the mentorship type of things that you do within the program. You know, I had a chance to be around you guys a couple of years and see how you guys develop, how you guys mentor these guys, and not just the guys, but their families as well. Speak on that a little bit, because I think, you know, if you're not in the mix or in these type of locker rooms or just within these organizations, people on the outside get, you know, misconstrued about what you guys do. It's
right.
not just about football.
Right.
Talk about that just a little bit.
So a lot of times I hear things like street agent.
Absolutely.
And I hear things like, you know, you're trying to take the kids away from their programs. Well, I'm going to be the first to tell you, Texas Ice, that's not us. You know, I care about the kid first, the parents first, you know, their relationship with, you know, their school, their coaches. You know, I'm all about building a community. So when it comes to me, it's like you take care of the things that matters, you know, the kids' grades, their attitude, you know, how they approach life. You know, the wins will come. You know,
absolutely.
That's the main thing with me.
Absolutely. Coach Jay, you know, we've been in this industry for a few years now. You know, Prospect 7-on-7, you got started with that a couple years ago. The backgrounds and the backstories that we get a chance to see within these organizations and how they help the community, just talk about that just a little bit.
So helping the community, I mean, the thing is, like we mentioned earlier, you know, giving a kid a place to go, to be a part of, you know, something bigger than them. You know, you stated that we travel the country, we go places, you know. Yeah, there's a tournament being played there, right? But It's really about getting these kids out of the city, out of environments that a lot of times they'd never be able to get out of. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know, I've taken kids to different states, different cities, and they've looked me in my face and said, Coach, I've never been on a plane before.
Right.
Coach, I've never been outside of Fort Worth before.
Right.
You know, those are the moments, you know, that means something to me. That's why I do this. So I believe if you build something like this for young boys to grow into men, let's say they don't go play D1 ball. Let's say they don't go to the NFL, where they're going to be better citizens for their community. They're going to be better fathers for their kids. They're going to be better husbands for their wives. You know, it starts with that, and it ends with that for Texas Ice.
Absolutely. Now, SD, you've been doing this for a little while as well, you know, with prospects. You know, you've coached 7-on-7 for a while. Speak on that just a little bit.
Man, the importance of, you know, the development for youth in sports, no matter what the sport is so important because, again, like Coach Duffey said, we're giving kids an outlet to see what's out there in the world beyond where they live, beyond what they could even imagine. The earlier you can give kids options, the earlier you can make them see beyond where they are, the earlier they can really understand their dream and understand, you know, what potential and what's possible. They have to see it in action a lot of times in order to believe that it's possible for them versus, you know, just being told. But when you take a kid out of Fort Worth, when you take a kid out of South Oak Cliff and you take them to Washington, Los Angeles, places like that, and they get to see it themselves, they can personalize it and say, you know what, this can be me. I can achieve great things and, you know, make great things happen. So whether it's, you know, playing D1 football or coaching D1 football, kids that are in that position, once they get out and see it, can really start to hone in and say, okay, this is actually doable for me. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Now, the end-all is not just D1. And, Coach Duffey, you've been adamant about that for years, that any opportunity to play at the next level, you try to get that across to your players. Just speak on that a little bit, because now, you know, with the transfer portal and outside, you know, influences on high school football, it's starting to trickle down a little bit.
Oh, yeah. You know, today more than ever, it's a get it how you live phase, you know. Yeah. I mean, if you want to play football, if you love the game, we can't put labels, you know. Absolutely. I can only play D1. I'm going to only go Power 5. Right. Those days are over with.
Right.
And, you know, the old saying, if you can ball, they'll find you. So, you've had Hall of Famers that's gone to so-called small schools and, they came out on top. So really it's, get in where you fit in, just get on the field, get your school paid for, get your education. Let's not worry about the label on the helmet. Let's worry about the name on the degree. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, well, getting a degree is undefeated.
Yes, sir.
And that's the thing that you have to get across. So you get a free education. You get a chance to get a degree. The degree doesn't say D1. The degree doesn't say Power 4. It says the school that you're from and what you have.
Yes,
you know
sir.
what I mean? And that's the kind of things that we try to get across, on a week-to-week basis right here on Your Marc show. But let's visit with my guy, JD. Listen, JD Duffey's one of the top up-and-coming young players that you're going to see. I've been watching his progression from, probably about 3 or 4 years. And I can see that he's about to take off a little bit. He just came off this past weekend of winning a championship with a team. Was it the Chiefs, I believe?
Yes.
So speak on that just a little. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody how old you are.
So I'm JD and I'm 11. And yes, we did win a championship this past weekend. And yes, I won with the Chiefs, and it was in the Under Armour League.
Absolutely. Now, talk about some of the things that you've been doing. You play multiple sports. I think you got a love for more than just football. Although, knowing Coach Duffey, football's a big sport in the state of Texas, and your family. So speak on that just a little bit and tell us all the sports that you play.
Yes, I play football and baseball competitively, and I play basketball for fun.
Let's talk about baseball. I know that sport very well. That's a sport that's very, very difficult to play at an early age and be great at it. You've been killing it the last couple of years. You pitch, you play more than one position, and you got to stick at the plate. Speak on that a little bit.
Yes, it's a little bit harder whenever you're younger because it's a very technical game, and yeah, it just takes a little bit to learn.
Now, you brought up technical. That's a good starting point for baseball. Talk about some of the things that you try to work on all the time to keep yourself up in baseball.
Just your form whenever you do stuff. You want to do it the best you possibly can. Like at batting, you never want to take a single swing without having perfect form.
Absolutely. Now, you spoke about a perfect swing. You have to be a technician at the plate. What are some of the things you look at when you step in the batter's box? Are you watching the pitcher's motion, his body language, and then you want to put that swing on it to get that big hit?
Yes. Whenever you're watching the pitcher, you want to find where his release point is so you can track it all the way across the plate so you can get good contact.
Absolutely. Now, you've had a chance to start, traveling a little bit with this baseball thing and, playing some good competitions. Just speak on that a little bit and how you're enjoying it.
I really enjoy it because I get to travel a lot and play different competitions and see what's out there.
Absolutely. Now, let's switch gears to football.
Shout out to 5-star Coach J.
Shout out to 5-star Coach J. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I love that you play baseball. I think, a lot of kids, the older you get, they kind of get out of it because it gets difficult as you continue to trend up. You tend to get older. But if you stick with it, Major League Baseball contracts are guaranteed. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Let me say that again. Major League Baseball contracts are guaranteed. There's less wear and tear on the body. Just saying.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? But football, I think that you got great hands. I really love, especially in the flag, I don't know if people pick up on this, but your wiggle. How you able to turn your hips like that? Every time I see that, I just fall out laughing. Great feet. You can play on both sides of the ball. Man, I think the sky's the limit for you. You know what I'm saying? And that's just, from me looking at it from a scouting perspective. But speak on football a little bit and, how you've come to love it.
So I've played football the longest, and I think I've played it since I was 3, and I've always played flag. So that's how I can do my little wiggle, and so I can just get past people. And I've just always loved football because, well, it's just ran through my family from both sides, and, well, I just love it.
Absolutely. Listen, man, I think that you have something special. You're going to start to you're already getting noticed, I can tell you that. But the sky's the limit for you. And you got one of the best coaches in-house with you. That's something that everybody doesn't get a chance to get. Talk about, working with your dad. And, he keeps the pressure on you. But you seem to embrace it. I watch you, you work out on the track, your footwork. You work on your hands constantly. You work on your back pedal on the defensive side of the ball. Speak on, being able to, have that in-house coaching and how special that is to you to be able to work with your dad a lot.
Yes, sir. Thank you. It's definitely a blessing to have him as my dad because he can just lead me through my whole life in both sports.
Absolutely, man. Listen, get to know JD Duffey, man. He's coming. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to start to really blossom here in the next few years as he gets ready for high school. JD, go ahead and give out your social media. Everybody can start following you as well.
My Instagram is JD Does Work, and that's really what I mostly do.
Well, you do work. I can definitely tell you that, man. And I want to send a shout out to a couple of people that's watching. Shout out to my guy, Ariel Martin, down in San Antonio. Of course, Coast to Coast Athletics is tuning in. Coach SD, now we talk about early identification and early exposure when it comes to athletes all the time. And we got a young athlete in the building that's on the cusp of doing those things. But how do you try to get that across to parents and players, especially parents? You know, a lot of times, you know, it's a money thing, or they got to look out for money grabs when it comes to showcases and, you know, camps and things like that. But we try to preach that here and get that across. So speak on that a little bit and tell parents, you know, for the listeners that are listening and tuning in, how important it is to get your athlete exposed early.
Well, one thing in particular, Mark, immediately hearing JD talk, parents, if you go back and watch this and look at his body language and listen to, he's extremely articulate, and then go and look at his Instagram and his Twitter. Followings at 11, already ahead of a lot of high school guys. And that's why it's important to get kids accustomed to all of this very early. And obviously he's doing it the right way because he loves what he's doing, and dad is bringing him along slowly. So it's not overwhelming. The most important thing I always felt is making sure kids have some gas left in the tank. You don't want them to be amazingly great early because that requires a ton of work. So as long as they're having fun and improving a little bit at a time, staying competitive, by the time they graduate high school to get to the money where it really counts, they've already understood and learned work ethic and already ready for the camera. He's already perfect. This is the prime example of what you need to do early as possible when getting your kids ready for collegiate sports. Make sure that they're articulate, make sure that they can talk in front of the camera, and that physically, mentally, they can go out and play and have fun and dominate while having fun, but still leave some room to improve. That's amazing. I'm really impressed.
Absolutely.
But it don't surprise me because it's Duffey's baby.
No doubt. And I think that's, you know, what sets him apart, and what, you know, and there are a lot of athletes out there, you know, at a young age, you know, in the youth space that are doing that, you know, and we're going to have some of them on the show this summer. You know, JD's just happens to be the first one. But I think, you know, with parents, you have to know how to do this. You have to know how to navigate it, Coach Duffey, and speak on that a little bit, and doing it the right way, and how you got to try to set the standard. And then you got your daughter coming as well. I've been seeing she's been on the track.
Yes,
you know
sir.
what I'm saying? She's
Yes,
playing
sir.
some flag ball as well.
Yes, sir.
Speak on that just a little bit from the parents' perspective. Switch hats. What you try to do to get your kids engaged and get some exposure.
Okay, so parent, you know, just to be transparent, when I first started with JD, I was a little too aggressive with his development. You know, there's a time and a place for everything. And I had to learn how, like you said, take the hat off, you know.
Right.
So one thing I'll say for parents, man, one thing that I believe helped me tremendously, and I got this from my father. The thing is, man, games are for the kids. It's not for the parents. It's not for the coaches. The game is for the player. The training session, the practices, that's for the parent. That's for the coach. So with JD, one rule that I live by is when he's competing, I don't say anything to him as far as what's going on the football field, the baseball field. That's his moment. You know, after the game, I may just remind him about something, but there's no coaching. There's no getting on him. There's no this or that. I write down in my notes what I see during the game, and when we get to our training session during the week, then we address it. Then we work on whatever needs to be worked on. And, you know, I'm a true believer that is the reason why he's sitting here with you today, because I had that thought process, and I stuck with it. And I also believe that's where he's going to end up wherever he ends up, because I gave him the freedom to mess up. I gave him the freedom to grow, to learn, to bump his head and to get better. So the best thing a parent can do is to give their child the freedom to mess up, to be able to develop. And with my daughter, she's 8. I just started her training, developing, Boogie the Beast. Look out for her. She's going to be one of the best softball players to do it. I guarantee it. So that's my approach. Parents, give your kid freedom to breathe.
Absolutely. I'll take that, and backdoor that as well. When my son was playing baseball, we started, very young, coached him a little bit. When they got to high school, we let them go. We had a select team. But I wasn't that parent that was all at the cages when he batted, when he was catching or whatever, You can't miss me, but you don't see me at the same time.
Right.
I'm usually off to the side.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Now, if he come out of the dugout and ask me something
Right.
and approach me, that's different.
Yeah.
But he had a hitting coach.
Yeah.
He had a catcher coach when he
Right.
was catching.
Yeah.
Those guys took care of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Why would I interrupt a major leaguer that knows what he's doing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I take the lesson with him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that I take down, like you said, notebooks, record things and send it back to him where he can look and critique himself later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the way that you coach and not be a coach. You know what I'm saying? And that's one reason I wanted to have you guys on today, is because that's highly important. You stress that. You know, I can look and tell, and I know you pretty well, but I can look and tell from the things that you do and how you're progressing from when you guys were starting in the backyard with the hand toss.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's how far we go back with this. I watch everything. You know what I'm saying? And things have changed and progressed to where now he's become a student of the game.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Based on that, and I think a lot of times, and you guys are at tournaments all the time, you guys are out, the parent that's, hollering and screaming, that's a distraction for them.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And that when they're receiving coaching, they have to be able to receive it. Now, whether it's bad, you have to decipher that when you get back home and when you get away from it.
Right.
But they have to be allowed to be coached. They have to be allowed to be taught as well within the framework of whatever sport they're playing. And I think that's what you do especially well, and how I wanted you to explain it, to the parents and listeners, because we have parents, and players from all over the state, around the country that listen and tune in. That's the important thing that you have to have.
JD, where do I sit during your baseball games?
In the outfield.
Man, I'm in the outfield.
Right.
I'm nowhere near.
Right.
I couldn't talk to him if I wanted to.
Absolutely.
Behind the outfield fence.
Yeah. And that's the way I used to watch practice too. I'd pull up in the car, sit out in the outfield, watch practice from afar. Never knew I'm there unless they needed me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The first high school he was at, I probably had 3 conversations with the coach. I wasn't that parent that was all in there
Right.
with the Kool-Aid, or I might have been a part of the booster club, but I was very transparent, but not just so overly involved, not helicopter dad.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that sometimes kills the kid's spirit early. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, you put the work in. When it's time to put it in, you don't got to do that. Listen, if you got to talk to your kid during the game, it's too late.
Absolutely.
It's too late.
Absolutely.
So that's not the time.
Absolutely. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. Coach Duffey is also a coach, a high school coach at Eastern Hills High School. Girls flag football. It's about to get big here in the state of Texas. Shout out to Fort Worth ISD for taking that step to promote it. Now, if you look around the country, Florida, Georgia, California, and some other states have already kind of set the standard for girls flag football. But Coach Duffey's had a chance to coach in this league for the last 3 years. He won a state title his second year. He was in the state semifinals this year, and he was in the finals the year before. So he's been one of those guys that's taking the mantle up for girls flag football here in the state of Texas at the high school level. Coach, just speak on that and how you guys, as a ISD got involved with girls flag football.
Okay, so at Fort Worth ISD, Dr. Lisa Langston connected with the Cowboys, and they brought the girls flag football to Fort Worth ISD. This was the 3rd year that we've ran the league. All the teams in Fort Worth ISD are represented by their girls team. Year 1, we lost in the championship at AT&T Stadium to a great Arlington Heights team. Year 2, we won the championship, faced a tough Northside Steers team. We were lucky enough to win that. This year we lost in the semifinals 6-7 in overtime, which was a heartbreaker. You know, Eastern Hills is put on, man. We're 21-2 in 3 seasons. So, you know, it's a beautiful thing, man. And as stated, different states are real big in it. You know, colleges are starting to offer girls scholarships for the game of football. You know, my vision for this is the entire state of Texas to join in to have a true UIL state champion. You know, the girls deserve the exposure. The girls' game and flag is getting huge. I mean, taking it to the Olympics, you know, the sky's the limit with this girls' game, and it's getting big. You know, my daughter that we mentioned earlier just finished playing in a league in Southlake. There had to be over 20 teams in different age divisions, all girls out there competing, making plays, you know, just real grinding. So, you know, what Fort Worth ISD did for our girls, it's monumental, man, and I just hope that more districts join in because it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely, and you know, I had a chance to be around it. I didn't get into a game this year, but the first 2 years I was there, and I thought you did a wonderful job of getting these girls ready to go. And you had one of the best teams, and still have one of the best teams in this particular league.
Appreciate it.
Talk about those girls and some of those players, and you've had a couple that go on to college as well.
Yes. I've got a girl right now playing college ball. I've got about 2 right now that's considering it. They're multi-sport athletes, so they'll have options. You know, my girls are athletes. You know, they play other sports throughout the year, and then in the spring is when, you know, our season starts. So they'll just come right over, join the football field. It's kind of difficult to put in perspective when, again, it's only the Fort Worth ISD teams.
Right.
You know, it's hard to really explain how big this game can get. You know, the best way I can say it is to point at the USA women's team that's
Absolutely.
preparing to go to the Olympics. I mean, being a young girl and knowing that, you know, if I play this game and one day I can win a gold medal for my country, I mean, can you put a price on that? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I think our girls are starting to realize that they have more options to stay competitive, to be an athlete, to go on after high school, to earn scholarships, more than just the traditional track, softball, volleyball, soccer outlets that were there available before. You know, now our girls can play some football. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, I think with it being an Olympic sport now, that says everything.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
everything.
And I expect the U.S. to be very competitive, if not winning.
Right.
You know what I mean? I really love this for the high school girls. It also gives them another outlet to express themselves, another outlet to be competitive. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, not just the major sports, volleyball, softball, you know, things that they normally play basketball.
Right.
These girls are athletic. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? They really get down and get gritty with it. And,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? Stephon, you've had a chance to see this grow as well, you know, traveling around the country and now it's here in Texas. Just speak on that just a little bit.
Well, also a huge advocate for girls flag football, having a daughter that just finished playing in college for 2 years, so who pushed her to pursue that basketball and flag football in college, and also having, you know, one of the coaches be a spokesperson for Epic, huge fan of flag football and really trying to push. We haven't been successful yet as far as, you know, prospects doing girls flag events, but something that we are really serious about providing a platform for girls to play. It's just, again, another way to leverage athleticism and give girls another outlet. Watching the collegiate side grow. Now it's, you know, going from NAIA JUCOs to your first Division I program. So the maturity of it, being at the ground floor and watching it grow is an amazing thing. And however, you know, I can help kids in that regard. I'm always willing, especially with, you know, what you and I do, just giving girls the opportunity, exposure, whatever we can do to assist in helping them achieve that dream and watching them grow from playing to coaching, right in line with what we've already been doing. So just seeing that step now that it's a, USA flag football Olympics, that is huge and monumental for the country, for the girls. It's just waiting for it to continue to grow in Texas to the point to where, Texas can be a name mentioned just like boys football around the country.
Absolutely, and I think it's taken off. Well, I really hope that the UIL gets behind it because I think that'll push it to the next level.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The girls were super excited the first year they got a chance to play in Cowboy Stadium, which was big, and they've gone to 3 championships the last 2 years. And I think it's a sport that's definitely taking off. And you're seeing it starting to branch off where they're starting to have tournaments and things,
right?
In the off season and around the year round. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, forward ISD really took a step to do it. A lot of times, forward ISD and the inner cities, ISDs get a bad rap in athletics, but this was a big step.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? This was a groundbreaking step.
And
you guys have had a chance to be at the forefront of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate that, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Again, talking to my guy, Coach Duffey, JD Duffey in the house today. Now, Coach, you've been, one of those guys that's been at the forefront in recruiting.
Yeah.
And assisting your guys, within Texas Ice and now with girls flag football and getting exposure. What can you tell us about the recruiting games? It's kind of changed a little bit. We talked about the transfer portal a little bit. So now you don't really have a whole bunch of time to make, a real decision, but you have to make the right decision.
Right.
And there's nowhere that you can't go that you shouldn't be able to have an opportunity now. But speak on that just a little bit.
First and foremost, when it comes to recruiting at 7-on-7, I have to say this. I have to be transparent and clear. I can only do for you what you've done for yourself.
Absolutely.
If you don't have the grades, if you know you haven't been working, if you know you haven't developed your body to give these scouts and recruiters something to look at, I can't make magic.
Absolutely.
I've got friends, I got people that like me, but nobody likes me enough to hand you a scholarship when you don't deserve it.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people that attach themselves to athletes, and they'll say, well, you come over here and you get offers. Nah, it's the kid that's getting the offer.
Absolutely.
It's the athlete that put the work in, that made the grades. They're the ones that's making the magic happen, not Coach Duffey, not anybody else.
Right.
So what you've done for yourself, I can assist you with that.
Right.
If you got the body, you got the stats, you've got the grades, Coach Duffey can walk you into any university in the country and talk for you. Right. But if you don't have that, there's only so much I can do.
Right.
As far as, the new recruiting world, as you stated, there's not time. There's not the sit around and wait and I'll be maybe, because your spot will be gone. We've got the bounce backs. We've got guys in the transfer portal. Things are a lot more serious now.
Right.
Things are a lot more sped up. So you've got to make the decision based upon what's best for you. What do you want to be in this world if football doesn't play out? Will that school allow you to take these certain classes? Will you be able to be this major at this football program? Do they have practice at the same time as this class that you need to graduate and get this certain degree? Those are the type of things that you need to find out, and you need to find out fast. How many uniforms they wear, how many cool helmets they got, what the coach's name is. Those things shouldn't matter in today's recruiting world.
Absolutely, man. We can't say that enough. Love who loves you.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And who has the best plan for you.
That's right.
You have to have that. And then the people that are around you, who's giving you these information. A lot of kids, you have to – a lot of times we're talking to the parents to get to the athletes.
Right.
Because without the people around them, it's hard to make the right decision. You know what I mean? And all of that translates into making the right decision. And that's the reason the transfer portal's thick, and there's a lot of kids in there that don't come back from leaving the first destination because they get in the transfer portal and they don't have that help or that ear or that person in their camp that's giving them the right advice or the right direction to where they need to go. Speak on that just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? 70%, I think, something like that, got stuck in the portal.
Oh, it's a big number.
I was once told when I was younger, when I first started working, I decided, I don't really like this job. Mama, I don't want to work here no more. Yeah. You better make sure you got another one before you leave this one.
Got to have a plan.
You got to have a plan,
right.
And too many times, kids may get their feelings hurt. Things may not be exactly the way they thought they'd be when they decided to go to a certain school.
Right.
And their first thought is, man, I'm just going to leave.
Yeah.
And, certain individuals can enter a transfer portal and be picked up, but the large majority can't.
Right.
So it's one of those things where, wherever you decide to go, make sure it's a fit, make sure it works for you, make sure you're comfortable, make sure that if something doesn't go perfectly, that you can stay there and try to figure it out. Or at the very least, know where you're going, know what the next step is before you jump in that portal, because kids are getting lost, man.
Yeah.
They're getting in there and they're never getting out.
Right.
So, yep.
Right. Well, I think that's an important piece to it is, before you think that you want to transfer, you need to have a destination lined up. That's the best way to navigate it, and have someone that's, if not helping you or speaking for you on your behalf that you trust.
Right.
And you're getting the right information. You know what I mean? You mentioned measurables, stats. All of those things go into you being recruitable.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the big piece that, it's not, you could be 6'5" and 300, but can you move?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Can you finish a block? We're talking about offensive linemen right here. How do you move backwards? Because you got to move fast backwards to make that play. All of those things go into being recruited and being a recruitable player. Stephon, we talk about these things weekly, and kids and parents and families that have got trapped in the transfer portal. Just speak on that just a little bit.
Right now, Mark and Coach Duffey, is 3,843 kids still stuck in the portal, and that is something that you guys that are watching can research. It's on Google. That's a lot of kids. And, again, there are a million reasons why, but most of us understand that misconception of what you think you're going to get when you get to college is the main reason why first-year kids jump out, because they think, oh, well, I didn't play my first year. I failed, so let me go somewhere else I can play. Not realizing that you got to have an exit strategy. And also, why didn't you play your first year? Was it because you don't know the plays, you were late to practice, coaches didn't love you, you picked the wrong school? So all of those things, the biggest thing that I stress to parents is know your kid. Take your mom, dad hat off. If they're lazy at home, if they're not on time, if they're not students to the point to where they're lax in their classes, they're not handling their business, they're going to struggle their first year in college. It is common. It's going to happen. Our job as coaches, as parents, is to equip them with the necessary tools to go and stay and deal with the adversity. Yes, every coach that talks to you is going to tell you, I want you to start. You're going to be the guy. You're going to do this. But can you do it? Can you give him what he wants? Go there, handle your business, and then understand very few kids on this planet that's playing football actually go and play their first year. Not very many are able to do that. And even the ones that do never go and play their first game, second game, third game. It takes them a while to learn the system to where they can be a profitable part of the team early. So if you don't have that football IQ, if you don't have that work ethic, you need time to develop. You need time to grow. And then understand that it's a lot of moving pieces. It's guys 3-4 years older than you that's put in the time. So you have to go in and compete against those guys. And if you're marginally off, 9 times out of 10, they're going to always go with the guy that knows the system, that's been there, that's ready to go right now. It's a plug-and-play type deal. So just got to understand what you're getting yourself into, and then the ability to work while you wait.
Absolutely. I mean, and those are some of the things that you have to get across to them before they make that leap. And even with leaving from high school to college, there's a transition, and not everybody's ready for that. It's about, very seldom are you ready for it. And listen, they're about to do away with the red shirt, and they're thinking about cutting the scholarships amount and getting rid of the walk-on. So it's going to make it even tougher for the guy that's on the border of being recruited, or a tweener, or something that, whatever you do well, you need to be the best at it. That way you fit into whatever program you go into. And the landscape of college athletics, and especially college football, is about to change.
Right.
And you have to know that and be up on that.
It's really a business now.
It's really a business. Really.
Right.
Really a business. And you have to have a business like work ethic when you step in that arena.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Coach, before we get out of here, give everybody, the listeners, to social medias where they can contact you, get in touch with you.
Texas Ice 7v7 on Instagram, Texas Ice 7v7 on Twitter. Check out my son's Instagram, JD Does Work on Instagram, and check out my daughter's Instagram, Boogie the Beast. Be ready.
Absolutely, man. They come in, man. This won't be the last time you see them as well. We're going to come back probably later on this summer. We got some more guys within the Texas Ice and the Ice Babies gang that my guy wants to get on the mic. That's what we do here, is give you a chance to elevate and educate yourself. Coach Jay, before we get out of here, the Flex Zone is coming up July 11th. We're about a month away from that. Tell everybody where they can register real quick before we get out of here.
Flex Zone, July 11th, Bishop Dunn. Go to Zorts, look up Flex Zone one-on-ones on Zorts, and sign up. I promise you're going to love it if you've never attended it. Little JD would love to see you out there in some of them Fort Worth babies. Come get some of that work.
We'll
Coach
be there.
Duffey, I'd love to have you out there coaching as well. Hit me up, let me know if you got some time. Would love to have your kids out there. Listen, Flex Zone 101, real quick, is development. It's about getting in some serious work, and we just did some tweaks with the quarterback challenges. You guys got to wait and see it. My head quarterback guy, NSME, Calvin Davis, just changed the game with a lot of stuff that we're doing with the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are going to love it. The competition is going to be fierce, and it's been growing like crazy. I promise you, there is no bias. It's straight work. Guys love it when they come and they get exposure, period, point blank. No way around it.
Absolutely, and I can say this, it's really kicked off exposure for guys that are in high school now that were kind of on the bubble. It's a great way to get yourself early exposure. If you're kind of on the cusp and you're sitting there and you're the guy that hasn't been seen by media, by scouts, and even college programs, and this kind of jets you off or gets you started in that particular direction. The Flex Zone is one of those places. There's going to be media there. There are going to be scouts there. There are going to be writers there. You're going to get some of the best coaching. Former professional and collegiate coaches and players will be there as well. Shout out to my guy, Coach Calvin, who's watching on the live today on Instagram. I want to kick a couple shout outs to a couple of people that were watching today. Frank Shees, Jovan Manuel, Sam Edwards watching all the way from Virginia. Shout out to my guy, Ben Spicer down in Florida State. Shout out to my guy, Steve Brown, R.L. Martin, Morris Crosby. Appreciate everybody for tapping in to the On Your Mark show. We'll be back next week right here from the Fishbowl Radio Network. Listen, have a great Wednesday. Stay down, stay up, educate and elevate you right here on the On Your Mark show.
Hey, this Manna Mike. I'm not sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts, really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grinded. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.